This poem is for the children of Enbridge executives who play in their clean, raked sandboxes digging for oil. This poem is for the dictators who love their dogs. For the aged heads of secret police forces who are losing their memories. This poem is for all those robots who had to stay home on election night, making phone call after phone call after phone call. This poem is for all the times Che Guevara went shirtless, and for everyone who got rich selling t-shirts with his face on it, and the wispy wasp kids that bought them. This poem is for low-sodium salt marches, and for the Arab Spring and Empire's fall. This poem is for the American flag sewn in Taiwan on looms made in China and flown on the moon, whose poles loom over the lunar seas that pull on our own. This poem is for the boa constrictors who love parrots and weep after hugging them. This poem is for Lenny Smalls, for the giants who fear heights. This poem is for Polonius, who is always terrible at hide-and-seek, and for his daughter Ophelia, who in an alternate universe became an Olympic swimmer. This poem is for the nuclear submarines that glide through the seas like steel-pill krakens, and the drones that fly over the mountains like migratory birds. This poem is for the Swedish eye-blue skies and the hair-gray clouds and the raw-flesh sunset. This poem is for the bastard children of Mardi Gras and the Calgary Stampede, praising God through sucking lips and glass bottles. This poem is for my inner Paul Wolfowitz that fears them, and Paul Wolfowitz's own childhood crushes. This poem is for my mother's eyes wrinkles that smile and smile and smile, and for my dad who hates to smile for the camera, and for my dad who taught me to write essays classically, with pyramids and columns, sturdy, with irrefutable points, and not standing the test of time so much as racing it, mounting momentum with each rotation of the news cycle. This poem is for the poets who will always be better at writing essays, better than any essay I ever wrote, quoting the living, breathing social right infernals to make signals with a smoke. This poem is for the poets with the voices of arthritic crickets, speaking of the greatest minds of their generation destroyed by the greatest minds of the previous generation, destroyed by the greatest minds of the previous generation, destroyed by the greatest minds of the previous generation, dragging brains like a sled over gravel, and the gavels that pound out on over-tempered souls with the fires of want and the hammers of fists, and the little plum trees on the wastelands, and some of them, yes, even some of them, speak through tubes. This poem is for the dancers who keep me sane, and the piano players that are driving me crazy. This poem is for my Nordic angel loves and my brown-eyed hatreds. This poem is for the monsters and the saints that never were, and the clowns and the lovers and the diggers who might yet be. This poem is for the evangelical vacuum salesman. This poem is for Mephistopheles speaking trippingly and walking lightly. This poem is for the kings of small planets and the princes of asteroids. This poem is for the fingers holding pens and the hands holding candles and the hands holding hands. This poem is for everything that birthed me, nursed me, raised me, worked me, fought me, and one day will kill me. This poem is for the grit in the beauty, and the beauty of a grain of sand, and the beauty of the grain of sand we all inhabit. This poem is for the Mother Night and Father Time, and for all of the people of Berlin. This poem is for all the people who can hear me, and everyone else who cannot. This poem is not meant to be a good poem. This poem is barely even a nice poem. This poem is just a free verse, spoken word, post-neo everything, thank you note. And that is all.